Let's talk about something. What if the money in your bank account was yours, but only in name? We're diving into an idea today that sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie, but it's actually rooted in real-world tech and things that have happened before. We're talking about the bank freeze. We're going to unpack how a system like this could work and what it really means for the future of your financial freedom.
This quote from Lex Friedman it hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? For our entire lives, we've had this deep trust that our money is our own, that it represents a kind of freedom. But what happens when that trust gets tested in a world that's run by code?
And this is the question that's at the heart of it all. Just think about that for a second. It's not that your money is gone. Nope, it's still there. You can see the balance. You just can't use it. It's like you've become a spectator to your own life savings. Okay, so let's start with the mechanism itself. We're calling this the fragile switch because it really highlights just how quickly our access to our own finances could be, well, switched on or off. So what is a bank freeze exactly? Well, to put it simply, it's when the doors to your own money get locked from the outside. This isn't a bank run where everyone panics and the money's gone. No, this is different. It's a system-level lockout where the money is right there, but your keys just don't work anymore. And what's really fascinating here is that the potential triggers for something like this aren't just one thing. They could come from almost anywhere. You've got someone like Ray Dalio looking back at history, pointing to big government moves like the 1933 bank holiday. Then Catherine Austin Fitts comes in and says the danger is baked right into the system's design. It's too centralized. Lynn Alden focuses on the tech, how one little glitch or cyber event could ripple through everything. And of course, Pippa Malmgren reminds us that today, finance is a weapon in global politics.
And that leads us to the really big, crucial question, right? Is a freeze just a temporary tool to manage a crisis, a bug in the system? Or could it be a gateway to something way more permanent? A symptom of a problem or a strategy for a whole new kind of control?
So if a freeze is the what, then we have to talk about the how. How could this be pulled off on a massive scale? Well, this brings us to the second part of our story, the rise of a single piece of infrastructure that could act as the master switch for everything, the digital ID.
This chart does a brilliant job of showing the two sides of this coin. On one hand, the sales pitch for digital IDs is all about efficiency, safety, modernizing things. But on the other hand, the critics see a much, much darker potential: surveillance, what they call programmable compliance, and, well, as one expert put it, who needs handcuffs when you can just switch off a wallet? Now, here's the official take, the institutional perspective from Christine Lagarde at the European Central Bank. The argument is, listen, this isn't some conspiracy theory. It's just necessary infrastructure. It's the plumbing for a modern economy. The key, she says, is just making sure there's proper oversight.
But right on the heels of that, you get this powerful counterargument from Edward Snowden. He basically says, with all due respect, your good intentions don't matter. The danger is built into the architecture itself. Why? Because governments change, power shifts, but the databases, they never, ever forget. So what are the red flags? The early warning signs we should all be watching for. The experts point to a pretty clear progression. It might start small, with conditional spending. You can buy groceries, but not a plane ticket. Then it could get tied to your behavior, your carbon score, your health choices, even what you say online. And this is the really critical point. You could get debanked, cut off from the system, not for a financial crime like theft, but for a social one, like disagreeing. Okay, I know this all sounds pretty intense, but the conversation doesn't just end there with the problem. The focus then shifts, and it shifts to solutions. How can you and I build resilience in a world where financial censorship is a real possibility? And here you have it, a practical playbook drawn from a lot of smart people. The themes are super clear. First, redundancy. Don't rely on just one system. Second, diversify your assets so your wealth isn't purely digital. Third, and this is a big one, understand custody. Know the difference between truly owning an asset versus just being on a bank's list of creditors. And finally, and maybe the most important, build a real-world community, because when the digital stuff fails, that's what you have left. But here's a twist. What if a freeze isn't a big, sudden, dramatic event? What if it's already happening, just so slowly that we don't even notice it? This brings us to a concept called the slow freeze. Stephanie Pomboy frames this perfectly. She calls it the most polite heist in history, and that really gets to the heart of it. Inflation isn't just prices going up. It's a quiet, invisible transfer of wealth.
It just chips away at the value of your savings day after day, acting like a hidden tax that helps out debtors, especially big ones like governments.
This chart shows you exactly how it works. Your bank balance, that's your nominal savings, that number might be going up. You feel richer. But what that money can actually buy, its real purchasing power, that's the bar that's steadily going down. It is quite literally an illusion of wealth.
And according to analysts like Jim Rickards, this slow freeze has a purpose. It's a backdoor way for governments and huge corporations to deal with their mountains of debt. By slowly devaluing the currency, they get to pay back their old loans with new money that's worth a whole lot less. It's a way to reset the system without ever having to stand up and admit failure.
So if the old system either freezes up suddenly or just slowly erodes into nothing, what comes next? This final section gets into the possible architecture of a totally new financial order. There isn't one single answer, but you can see three competing visions starting to emerge. Ray Dalio talks about a controlled demolition that leads to a world with multiple power centers. Catherine Austin Fitts warns of a financial coup where surveillance and money become one and the same. And then you have the optimists like Chamath Palihapitiya who see a decentralized opportunity where innovators and builders just outrun the regulators.
You know, Lynn Alden suggests it might not be one or the other. It might be a hybrid world. In this kind of future, you'd have state-controlled digital currencies for your day-to-day compliance. You might have something like Bitcoin that gives you an exit, some optionality, and you'd have hard commodities to provide a bedrock of stability. Each asset would serve a totally different purpose.
And we're going to end on this last, really powerful thought from Peter McCormack. He completely reframes the whole debate. This isn't just about finance. It's about identity. It's about freedom. In a world of programmable money, the systems we choose to build won't just track our transactions. They're going to define our values. And maybe, just maybe, the ultimate asset won't be a currency at all, but integrity itself.